everybody. Welcome to the Glen Kuiper Show, All Giants. Apologies, we're just a little late, but we are set to go for a Thursday early evening edition of the show. As always, hit the subscribe button. We love our subscribers. That list continues to grow, and I very much appreciate that. You know the drill. Hit the like button. I'd love to see your comments. I like to read your comments. I like to answer your questions. I love the fact that you folks that are watching are involved in the show. I mean, really, that's exactly what we want. So appreciate all that, as always, as we are heading into into the month of August here with the San Francisco Giants and the Glen Kuiper Show, All Giants. We got a fun show tonight. Trying to cover a couple different things, as you know. We're going to look at this homestand coming up. No question. It's the biggest homestand of the year. Time is running out, and it needs to be a big 9-game homestand, and we'll see if that happens. So we'll look at that. We'll get you ready for the Giants and the Nationals this weekend, who's pitching for the Giants and why. We're going to give credit where credit is due. Interesting stuff there. And some interesting notes on the National League Wildcard race, as always. So that is what we're going to cover tonight. But of course, we can't. You know how it works. We can't do anything without our wonderful sponsors, and we want to check that out right now. As an investor, one of the best places to put your money is California's multifamily real estate. By investing with Tilden Properties, you'll see quarterly dividends and equity buildup in the real estate market. Isn't that what you want? Really, Bay Area-based and family-owned, Tilden Properties has been building investment wealth for their clients since 2008. Call 925-209-8558 or go to the website at tildenproperties.com. And we're also brought to you by the Kehrig Real Estate Team. Since 1978, the Kehrig Real Estate Team has been helping families buy and sell homes across the Bay Area with a legacy of client-first service. Whether you're moving up, downsizing, or making your first purchase of a home, trust the Kehrig Real Estate Team to guide you home. Contact Mike Kehrig today for a free home sale or purchase consultation. Call Mike at 925-548-4132 and go to the website at kehrigteam.com. So again, thanks to our wonderful sponsors. And let's get this show going, okay? We're going to start with the homestand. I like to think it's the last chance for momentum for this season. And let's take a close look at this. So the Giants have an off day today, one of 3 off days that they'll have in the month of August. And we know where they sit. They're 58 and they're 57, so 47 games left to play. 47 left to play, 27 at home, 20 on the road. So you may think, well, they got an advantage with all these home games. But we know what's happened at home lately, and that's not good. So, so as it stands right now, they are 5 games back of the Mets in that wild card race. Now, remember, the Mets have dropped down below the Padres, so you're still chasing the Padres. But right now, the 3rd wild card team is the Mets. The Reds are in between the Giants and the Mets. So right now, there's 2 teams that the Giants are chasing. They're 5 games back of the Mets in the wild card. So that's it. That's where that whole thing stands right now. So listen, we know this is a very difficult spot for the Giants. They are not in a great spot at all in the standings. We all know that. They're probably where they deserve to be because they've had some tough stretches this year. And that's my point on this homestand. I really think it's their last shot at a hot streak. It's their last shot at having some momentum. 9 games at home. You have Washington this weekend. You have a very good San Diego Padres team. And then you have the Tampa Bay Rays. That's the 3 teams that come in for the 9 games. It's your shot. It's your shot to get hot and go on some type of roll that closes this gap in the wild card race. Now, can the Giants do it? We don't know. We don't know. But my point is this is, I really feel this is their last shot. If you don't pick up any ground or if you don't have a good homestand, well, now Now you're less than 40 games left in the season. If you lose any ground in the standings, you're going to be 5, 6, 7 games back. That just absolutely cannot happen. And they know that. Everybody knows that. You fans know that. And that's why I'm sort of anointing this homestand to be, almost, if it's not good, I'm afraid the season's in trouble. And I think that's a fair assessment. So we'll see if they have what they need to do with these 9 games. They better. Otherwise, I think their chance for momentum is gone if they don't do some damage on this homestand. And the thing which is it's frustrating is they have not played well at home lately. We all know that they have not won a home game since July 11th. That's when they beat the Dodgers on that Friday night, and things were pretty rosy at that point. But they haven't won a home game since. That needs to change, obviously. So there needs to be urgency, and I think everybody knows that. Players know it, but it has to be go time, and this is the last shot at a hot streak and a last shot for momentum for the Giants. I really feel that way. They had a decent road trip. They let one get away in Pittsburgh, but still 4-2 on their trip. They beat a really good Mets team in a really tough place to play. So maybe that's the start of something. We don't know. We don't know. They've done this a little bit before with us, where they'll have a good series and then they slide back. That just simply cannot happen anymore if they want to get themselves alive in this wild card thing. So they get the Nationals. Nationals lost again today. It has not been a good year. They've lost 7 out of their last 8. In fact, if you look at what the Nats have done in the last couple months, it's really, really been a struggle. Since June 1st, they're 17-39. So there's your opportunity. But again, the Giants have not always played well against teams that you feel like they should beat. That's been an issue this year. That cannot happen anymore. So that's what you have with the Nats. And then the Padres come in. Padres are playing great baseball. We know the whole drill here. They've won 9 out of 11. They're only 2 behind the Dodgers. And I've said it before. The Padres are not worried about the Giants. They don't even think about the Giants. They're thinking about the Dodgers, as they should be. But they'll be here. They'll be here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And good team, good series this weekend to keep an eye on, too. It's the Red Sox who have played great. They are in San Diego to take on the Padres. So Padres will be here next week. And then next weekend, the Rays come to town. And that's another team that has really been hit on rough times. The Rays went 7-18 in the month of July, and there was a time where they were in this thing. In fact, it's funny. I looked; they were a game and a half out of first place on July 1st, and they just have really collapsed. So maybe there's a shot there. Again, you got to play good against teams that you should beat. So, anyways, that's what stands in front of the Giants on this homestand. And a big reason why, obviously we all know that this is what's coming up in the next 9 days is important, but what makes it, to me, even more important, I told you about the standings. We all know about the standings. We know, where the Giants are, but it's what happens right after this homestand. It's a road trip that has the Giants going to San Diego for 4 and Milwaukee for 3. That's sort of what jumped out at me when I said, homestand, and then right after that. So the point is again, if you play poorly on this homestand and you don't win most of the games on this homestand, then you're going to go to San Diego and Milwaukee for a 7-game road trip without any momentum, without a hot streak. That spells doom for me. And I think that's fair. You still got the Cubs at home. You still got 7 left with the Dodgers. You still got 6 left with St. Louis. But that road trip right after this homestand is kind of looming there. And if you're not playing good baseball going into that, I just think it's, I think it's going to be over as far as having any opportunity, to get this thing rolling. So this is a huge, huge weekend, folks, and it's a huge homestand and 9 games. I mean, let's stretch this out. I mean, I think they have to go 7-2. That's 7-2. I 5-4 ain't cutting it. 6-3, okay, but this is a time because they've put themselves in this spot. Everything now needs to go big. So I think 7-2 is probably what they need to do. So coming up this weekend, it's the Washington Nationals in town. Some good young players on this Nats team, but it has not been a good year. They've really struggled. Giants took 2 out of 3 in Washington way back in May, which seems like 3 years ago. But so the Nationals are here Friday night, and I wanted to go over the Friday night pitching situation. The Giants are announcing this, and kind of wanted to explain what the Giants are thinking here. On Friday night, tomorrow night, the Giants will use an opener, and this is what we've been told. That could change in the next 24 hours, but probably won't. Giants will use an opener with Tang then taking over the bulk innings, as they like to say. So what it sounds like, and again, this is not official, but what it sounds like the Giants are going to do is they're going to use an opener, and that opener is going to be a left-hander. It could be Matt Gage. It could be Joey Lucchesi. How long they go, I don't know. It may just be 1 inning. It may be I don't think they'll use both of them. They could, but the main thing is you use an opener, you look at the other team's lineup. And if you look at the Nats lineup, it's very left-handed heavy. And most of the time they go C.J. Abrams, a left-handed hitter leading off, and then James Wood, a left-handed hitter batting second. 2 terrific young hitters. So I think that's why the Giants are thinking, hey, let's open with a lefty just to see if we can slow those 2 guys down, keep them off the bases, because that's 2 really good young hitters, Abrams and Wood. So that's probably the thinking there in the very, very early part of the game, literally the first inning. So we'll probably see Cage or Lucchesi because of that. But also this lineup for the Nats, if you look at their players, Luis Garcia, the guy who plays a lot of second base for them, he bats left-handed. Nathaniel Lowe, the first baseman, he's left-handed. Josh Bell is a switch hitter, but Josh Bell doesn't play a lot against lefties because his numbers against lefties are horrible. But we'll see if they put him in there, knowing that the Giants are opening with a lefty, but then bringing in a righty. So we'll see what happens there. But a couple of young outfielders that the Nats have, Dylan Lyle and Hassel, they're both left-handed hitters. So they have quite a few left-handed hitters. That's the reason why, but mostly the reason Abrams and Wood at the top of the order. But that's why we're going to see either Gage or Lucchesi start the game for the Giants. At least that's what we're being told. And again, that's Friday night. Saturday, it's Carson Whisenhunt. He'll make his 3rd start. I'm looking forward to watching him. Got his first win in New York against the Mets last Saturday. Not an easy task. I thought he did a nice job. He looked much more comfortable, I thought, in that second start. And if you really look at this, we've heard a lot about this kid. He's not quite a finished product yet. He's close. I don't know that he's necessarily a 1 or 2 in a rotation looking to the future, but I think he could be a very solid, 3 or 4. Again, it's not quite there. If he gets a little more fastball control where he can spot it, that helps his great changeup. So he's got a little work to do yet, but he's not far up. But this is a huge opportunity for him, and he knows it. But let's watch Whisenhunt close the rest of this year if he stays in that rotation, and I think that he will, unless he gets knocked around. But if he can pitch well, I mean, he has a chance to make maybe 7 or 8 starts the rest of this year if he is successful and shows he belongs. If he can do that, then he immediately becomes part of the conversation, obviously, for next year and the rotation next year. So this is a big deal for the Giants and for Whisenhunt. what he does in the next 6 weeks, it could be one less question you have looking forward to 2026. If the young man is ready to go full time in this rotation, but he's going to get a chance. He's going to get an opportunity here. Hopefully, for the final 2 months or the final 6-7 weeks. So keep an eye on Carson Whisenhunt. He looks like a tough kid. He's not afraid out there. The changeup's been great. He just has to locate a little bit better, and when he does, then the changeup becomes the real deal. So let's pull for Whisenhunt, and this could be a big deal for the future. And then on Sunday it'll be Justin Verlander. We know the Verlander story. He's got just one win. It's been a little bit of a tough luck deal. I don't think anybody can necessarily argue with that. But he's been pretty good lately. 1 ER or 1 earned run allowed in his last 3 starts. Just one. He's only got 1 win to show for it. He's only pitched 5 innings in each of those starts. So he has not really pitched deep into games this year. But listen, I thought he looked pretty good the other day. And again, he's been good in his last 3 starts. So Verlander will get the ball on Sunday. And then looking ahead, then you have your 2 All-Stars, Webb and Ray, lined up to pitch the first 2 games of that series against the Padres, which is how obviously the Giants wanted it. Makes perfect sense. And we'll see, how that works out. Giants also waiting on a bullpen addition of Eric Miller. He's getting close. We should see him pretty soon. That's a big deal. I mean, Miller's a big part of this bullpen. And with the loss of the 2 guys that got traded, the bullpen, there's some question marks down there. And if Miller can at least eliminate one of those question marks, he could be a big plus moving forward because he's a pretty good reliever. We've seen that. And Landon Roop is getting closer. We may not see Roop, probably won't see him in the Padres series, but maybe next weekend, we'll see. Giants don't want to rush him, but he is getting closer to coming back. So we'll see Roop go back into that rotation fairly soon as well. So that's kind of looking ahead to the Nats series and even a little bit, toward the Padres series as well. So before we move on to some interesting notes from the National League Wildcard race, let's see. Let's get some questions in. George said Giants have to play better fundamentally. They need to start running, whether it's a straight steal, hit and run, or bunt the runners over. Enough of waiting for the big inning, pressure the defense. Yeah, you know what? I think that's a good call. We've seen it a little bit lately. You have to have. I think the one thing, George, is I think you're accurate, but you have to have the personnel you have to be able to execute that. If a guy's not great at a hit and run, then don't put it on just to put it on. But I think there are some guys that you can certainly do it with Jung-Hoo Lee and guys like that. So yeah, I mean, I think there's been times this year where I wish they would maybe do these things a little bit more. But the straight steal, you can't just do it to do it. You got to have guys who have the ability to have a better than 50-50 shot of being successful stealing bases. But it is fun to see. And yeah, I mean, maybe it's something you need to see more because we've seen this, for a long time now. The Giants have not been able to put together these big innings. And it's been kind of an issue, quite frankly, where they get 3-4 hits in an inning. It just hasn't happened enough this year. So we'll see. We'll see with the final 47 games of this season. See if they do any of that. And I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more of it myself. Bake the dough. All right. He's always with us, and I appreciate that. It's the dog days. Bats are coming alive, and pitching is getting tired. Yeah. Well, and it's not just, the Giant. I mean, this is the time of year where pitching does get tired. This is where depth comes in. Starters get tired. Bullpen guys get tired. So yeah, you got to take advantage of that. You're right. If that's what's happening around baseball, then your offense should pick it up a little bit, right? You would think. But yeah, that's not just necessarily Giants pitchers. That's everywhere across the board. It's just that time of year. I mean, it's the middle of August. These guys have pitched a lot, played a lot, and there's a reason why that that term is there, the dog days of August, because it's the real thing. It really is. These guys they drag a little bit, but they push through it. And you get to September, and then if you're in it, you get a little jolt of enthusiasm. So yeah, keep an eye on that. It certainly is a thing this time of year. Let's see. All right. Bake the Dough says, I was sure we wouldn't see openers under the Posey regime. Highlights the lack of depth, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the opener in this situation with Tang, you're not sure how much you're going to get out of him. You're going to get 4 innings. Maybe you really don't want him to face the lineup 3 times. Maybe you get a little help at the beginning with these 2 really good left-handed hitters. So, listen, I don't think this is something that they're going to start doing. You don't see, actually, they're not doing it much anymore. Nobody is. But I think in this case, because you got Tang in there for one more, probably one more appearance before Roop comes back, hopefully. We'll see if Roop's ready. But until he gets back, these are things that they may do. But I don't want anybody to think that this is a thing. Oh my God, they're doing this again now. No, they're doing it, probably out of necessity. And Seymour's in the bullpen. Certainly he could start, but I think they like him as kind of a long man, or they feel like that's the spot for him now. But I don't think there's anything to worry about. This is not something that's going to start happening, and continue to happen. So one more comment from the New York Giants Preservation Society. I want to say hi to those gentlemen and ladies. Feeling the real key to the bullpen question is Ryan Walker. When he's on, he can pitch consecutive days, meaning the 8th, and closing when Rogers can't. That's a great point. I think as we move forward, there are question marks now with the bullpen, which was a strength, but they traded 2 guys. That's the decision they made. So yeah, I mean, I have concerns now with the bullpen. But I think I think Walker is the key. I agree with the guys from New York. I think if Walker can settle in, and it's been up back and forth with him, he'll look good one game, and then the next day he struggles. But if you can get a little consistency from him, and then you get Miller back, at least now you're starting to close ranks a little bit with the bullpen. But to me, I think Rodriguez is fine as a closer, but they're careful with his arm. Sometimes there are days where his arm doesn't bounce back great. So you will need somebody else. Somebody else is going to have to close games in the final 2 months. It will happen. And there's no reason why Walker can't be that guy. But what we saw from Walker last year was he was terrific. I mean, he really was one of the best relievers in the National League. And this year, it's just been an inconsistent year for him. So yeah, I agree. I think Walker's really important, especially with the loss of the 2 guys. And now, the kid that the Giants got from the Mets has done a nice job. But I think he's more of a 6th, 7th inning guy. So let's see what happens. I think the bullpen is interesting right now. And, I'm a little worried about it because we're so used to having, Walker, Doval, Rogers, Rodriguez, got all 4 of those guys, and they were so good. And, but it's a new group a little bit, so there's some mixing and matching, but you got to keep your fingers crossed a little bit there. So, let's go to the wild card race. I got some interesting stuff here. I think you'll like this. We know the folks that are involved. But I want to start with the Mets because the Mets are struggling. Mets, we just saw them, right? Saw them here. They swept the Giants. Super frustrating. Giants had a chance to win a couple of those games. And then the Giants go there, take 2 out of 3. So I looked at the Mets to see what's going on a little bit. But remember when they swept the Giants here? And I bring up the Mets because they're the 3rd wild card team now. So really, that's who the Giants are chasing. And again, the Giants are 5 back of the Mets. Okay. Remember, the Mets swept the Giants here. in San Francisco. And at the end of that sweep, they had won 7 in a row. And man, they look good. I mean, they got a lot of talent on that team. It's kind of crazy. Since then, they've lost 8 out of 9. How do you explain that? How do you explain that? They've lost 8 out of 9 since sweeping the Giants here. They're at Milwaukee this weekend. The Brewers, probably the hottest team in baseball, right? I think that's probably fair. So the Mets go to Milwaukee this weekend, and they still have 7 games left with the Phillies, who they are trailing the Phillies. They're down 2.5 games now in the National League East. So the Mets, it's strange. It's very strange. And this is the thing that jumped out at me. Since May 1st, okay, that's 3.5 months. That's a long time. The New York Mets are exactly 500. They're 42 and 42 since May 1st. They got off to a great start. They had a great April. They're rolling along. But right now, they're 63 and 52. Still a good record. But think about that. This Mets team, over the last 3.5 months, is exactly a 500 team. That really surprised me. That did. That surprised me. And in watching them a lot lately, because they're playing the Giants, you could make a point that their 1 through 4 hitters, I think 1 through 4, that group is no question one of the best in all of baseball. Nemo leading off, Lindor second, Soto third, and Alonso fourth. That's a hell of a 1 through 4. And we saw it. It's just, it caught me off guard a little bit that over that long of a stretch, they're 42 and 42. And now they're fighting a little bit. They're fighting a little bit, losing ground to the Phillies in the East, and now losing some ground in that wild card. So listen, if you're a Giants fan, that's a team you got to watch. You got to watch the Mets, and you got to watch the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds are between the Giants and the Mets. Since early June, the Reds have been playing good baseball. They got good pitching. They just went into Chicago to play the Cubs. They won 2 out of 3. The Giants are done with the Reds. They finished 3-3 in the season series. But so you're going to have to keep an eye on the Cincinnati Reds. In fact, I think the Reds are playing right now. Let me check. Yeah, the Reds are actually playing right now in Pittsburgh, and they're losing 3-0 with Paul Skeens on the mound for the Pirates. So that could help the Giants a little bit. But anyways, so that's the Reds. That's the Mets. We know a lot about the Padres. They've won 9 out of 11. But the one thing I wanted to talk about with the Padres, their schedule coming up, it's really, really interesting. Okay. And fun. And like I'm thinking, I got to keep an eye on the Padres because of this. So this is what they have coming up. They have the Red Sox at home this weekend. And then, listen to this. Padres go at San Francisco for 3, at the Dodgers for 3, and then they go home, do the Padres, and play the Giants for 4 and the Dodgers for 3. How about that 16-game stretch, including 13 straight against Giants, Dodgers, Giants, Dodgers. So that is going to be fun to watch because, listen, Giants got to play better against the Padres, but now you also have the Padres chasing the Dodgers. That's 6 games in 10 days they're going to play against each other. So as a baseball fan, that's going to be a fun stretch to watch. So keep an eye on that. The Padres and their upcoming schedule. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. And this is all, again, these are all these reasons why, going back to the first part of my show where I said, if the Giants don't play good baseball on this homestand, they're done. Because you got to you got to put a little dent in the Padres, and that's a really good team. We know what they did at the trade deadline. Anyways, so keep an eye on that with Giants, Padres, Dodgers, Padres, all pretty fun stuff as just a pure baseball fan. Dodgers, interesting note here too. I thought, and again, I'd like to look to see how our team's playing, not just this week, but over stretches. And I thought this was interesting. In the last 6 weeks, the Dodgers have been a 500 team. Last 6 weeks, they're 18-18. And that caught me off guard a little bit. I mean, we all follow along, right? We all see how they're doing. But for that team, and I know they've had pitching injuries, but for that team with so many good players, and you talk about the top of the lineup, I mean, Betts and Freeman and Ohtani, I mean, that, they may be the best. And we mentioned the Mets guys. But anyways, you find that a little bit interesting, right? That's a stretch. That's 6 weeks to be a 500 team. Now they're still, the record is still, right, what are they, 17 games over 500. So they're still in a good spot. But the Padres are right there, just 2 back. So that's interesting stuff. And the Dodgers will host the Blue Jays this weekend. Blue Jays, one of the hottest teams in baseball, score tons of runs. So again, another fun series to watch, as a baseball fan. The Blue Jays at Dodger Stadium over the weekend. And, you can't forget about the St. Louis Cardinals. They're just hovering just right below. The Marlins are there. So there's a lot going on, in this wild card race. But listen, that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it fun. I mean, do the Giants need to do something crazy to really make themselves a player in this? Yeah, but there's time to do it, to get crazy and win a bunch of games. It's just a matter of if you feel like they can. That's really what it comes down to. So anyways, that's the National League wildcard race. Now I want to hit on something else, which I thought was going to be fun. I want to throw out some shout outs. Okay. There's a couple areas that I want to hit on. And I think I'm a big believer that, listen, if I don't want to say criticize, but if you're hard on a player because they're not maybe playing as well as you think they should, and that's fair. That's I'm allowed to do that. Fans are allowed to do that. But I also think when a guy then turns it around and starts having success, I think you should give him his props. And I feel that way about any player. I've been hard on this show lately on Elliot Ramos, who just had a great series in Pittsburgh, but I want him to be better defensively because I think that's holding him back from really being a terrific all-around player. But with Willy Adames, we know the whole story. Huge contract, 7 years, $182 million. With that comes expectations, and I think all that's fair. So let's look at that. So right now, as we enter into the weekend, Willy Adames is hitting .232. He's never been a high average guy. Just look. I mean, you can look it up. He's never been a high average guy. That's just not the kind of hitter he is. He's a run producer. He's got 18 home runs and 61 RBIs in 114 games. So he is on pace, and I know some people don't like the on pace, but it's just a way of making a point. He is on pace this year to have 25 home runs and 86 RBIs. And I know I did this with Rafael Devers a couple weeks back as well. It's just to kind of make a point here. So on pace for 25 and 86. Okay. And I look back at his last 4 years in Milwaukee. The first year he got traded to Milwaukee. But anyways, so the last 4 years, 2021, 22, 23, 24, he averaged 28 home runs and 90 RBIs a year. He had a huge year last year, career year last year. But the average over the last 4 years, and he plays, almost every day, 28 and 90. Now, remember, those numbers came in Milwaukee, which is very much a hitter's park. and that is an advantage. But still, those are the numbers. So if his average season the last 4 years in Milwaukee was 28 homers and 90 RBIs, and this year, in his first year here, he is now on pace for 25 homers, 86 RBIs. There's not a lot of difference. Do you understand what I'm saying? So he is not off of an average Willy Adames year, even though he did struggle early. In fact, listen to the difference. And as you see on the screen, Willie's, the big second half, and it's been fun to watch. In the first half of the season, his batting average, first half being All-Star break, okay, 220. In the second half, he's hitting 292. That's a 72-point gain in his batting average from the first half to the second half. And listen to this. His OPS in the first half was 680. His OPS in the second half is 968. That's a 288-point difference. I hope my math is correct. Think about that. That's huge. So we always knew he was a better second half player. I said it here many times, and he has showed that. And I think it's great for him because he's really important to this team. He's in a little bit of a cold stretch right now. But all in all, the second half has been really good. And listen, he took a lot of heat early, and he was wearing it, and he knew it. He knew he wasn't playing well. And these guys wear it, man, and they tried to figure out how can I get out of it. So I think too, another part of this is his defense has gotten better. So maybe his struggles offensively, maybe it was affecting him. That happens to the best of them. But now his defense has been a lot better lately. That's important for the future too, because he's going to be your shortstop for a while here. And you don't want him to regress defensively at this point. So really, let's give the guy some credit for fighting through a tough stretch, and I know he's got a huge contract. He's making millions. I get all that. I don't go that route. I know these guys grind, right? But let's give him some credit because he has stayed positive through a tough stretch in his career. He's a great teammate. He's everything that the Giants said he was as far as in the clubhouse. He's legit. He pulls for guys even when he's struggling. You can see it. That's not fake. Some guys can pull that off, and it's a little like, no, Willie stuff is real. So let's give the guy some credit. Willy Adames is playing like we thought he would play here in the second half, and it's great to see. And when it's all said and done, his offensive numbers are going to be about what Willy Adames does on average every year. Last year was a career year for him. So you know what? My point is good for Willy Adames because he fought through it, and now he's showing what he's all about. And I like him. Now, our next group, let's take a bow. How about this? Giants fans. I've been impressed with Giants fans this year. I'm not trying to suck up the Giants fans. I know. I mean, they're on here. I love them. They're great people. I criticized them when the Dodgers were in town. There's way too much blue. Much blue. There was a lot of blue when the Mets were in town too. But my point here is, listen, the Giants have 54 home dates so far this year. Okay. They have averaged 36,208 fans per game. That's eighth best in the American League. So that's pretty good, right? A little over 36,000. Let's go back. In 2023, the Giants averaged 30,866 fans per game. That was in 2023. In 2024, the Giants averaged 32,688. So forgive me with all the numbers, but my point here is the 1 year increase from last year to this year, 3,500 fans per game. The 2 year increase from 2023 to now is 5,300 fans per game. Now you may say, is that a lot? Yeah, that's a lot. So in 2 years, they've gone from 30,000 a game to 36,000 a game. That's a big deal. It's a big deal for the organization. It's a big deal financially. If you think about, added revenue, 22 sellouts this year. That's the most they've had in a season since 2017. They may get a couple sellouts this weekend again. But my point is this has been a frustrating team because I think we've all expected a little bit more from them. But I do feel like the fans, even though there's frustration, I do think that they like this team. And I think they like the fact that there's some building blocks here that are not going anywhere. So I just, I kind of wanted to throw that out there because, I mean, you have a 2-year increase in fan attendance per game of 5,300. That's a lot. That's a huge increase. So anyways, Giants fans, you know what? Take a bow. Take a bow. You've done a good job coming out and showing up and being into it. And listen, there's nights where the offense hasn't done a whole lot, but I just feel like the Giants have done a pretty good job, with showing up, and I do feel like they do like this team. So anyways, shout out to Giants fans. And finally, last but certainly not least, congratulations to Jen Powell. Why? He will make history this weekend as the first woman to be an umpire in a regular season Major League Baseball game. Powell will be umping this weekend's Braves Marlins series in Atlanta, and that's awesome. Congratulations to Jen Powell. Again, first woman to be an umpire in a regular season Major League Baseball game. So awesome stuff. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. I think it was kind of fun. I try to cover as many things as possible, but I also try to get you ready for, what is Giants and what they have coming up and what's ahead of them. And it's not going to be an easy task, folks, as we know, but we'll see what happens. But this homestand is a biggie, folks. It's a biggie. And I think that's important for everybody to know that. So, all right. Tonight's show has been brought to you by Tilden Properties. As an investor, one of the best places to put your money is California's multifamily real estate. You can do that with Tilden Properties, Bay Area based and family owned. Tilden Properties has been building investment wealth for their clients since 2008. Call 925-209-8558 and check out the website at tildenproperties.com. We're also brought to you by the Kehrig Real Estate Team. They've been helping families buy and sell homes across the Bay Area with a legacy of client-first service. The Kehrig Real Estate Team can guide you home. Contact Mike Kehrig today for a free home sale or purchase consultation. Call 925-548-4132 or go to the website. Get your questions answered there at kehrigteam.com. As always, we appreciate the sponsors. And wanted to throw out this reminder. Coming up, I'm going to put out a video real soon on my YouTube channel. It's going to be the next installment of one of our Friday Night Kipes shows that we do from the Gotham Club at Oracle Park after every Friday night home game. Dwayne and I do a post-game show, and we're turning those into into shows that we can put on the YouTube channel. And so we got a new one coming out soon, hopefully in the next couple days. And it's our guests were Dennis Eckersley, a Hall of Famer, and Will Clark. How about that? It was a great show. Awesome. We had so much fun. And you'll see that coming out on my YouTube channel at some point in the next couple days. So you do not want to miss that. So we try to keep the shows coming. We try to keep the videos coming. And most of all, we appreciate everybody out there for watching and listening. Hit that subscribe button. You guys have been great. Couldn't do it without you. Hope you enjoyed the show. Good luck to the Giants this weekend, and we'll see you on our next the Glen Kuiper Show, All Giants, our live stream. Have a good one, everybody.